Speaking of fake news, our first speaker tonight is the man who serves up the real news. None other than the real deal, Ustadh Nazim Baksh. Ustadh Nazim is not a stranger to anybody in this room here, but if you're not familiar with him out there online, Ustadh Nazim is a senior producer at the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. He's a veteran journalist, and there's really no major story that has affected Islam and Muslims in the West that he hasn't covered. And he really brings a unique perspective to this conversation that really nobody else could bring, not only as a professional journalist who covers the news and covers the stories and is on the ground when the news breaks, talking to people and getting their perspectives and sharing those perspectives, but also as an activist who has committed his life to the very important work of spreading sound Islamic knowledge. So I'm going to ask Ustadh Nazim to, as the title states, set the stage and keep it real.
Okay. How much time I have? 15. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. He just took away 10 minutes of my time, or 5.
Take 20 minutes.
I'm just joking. He tells me 15 is like a documentary for me. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. To all those who are listening online or wherever, I know a lot of people, it's so cold in Toronto, and people from Trinidad are asking me, when are you starting the program? And I told them it's cold here in Toronto. So people opted to, because tomorrow is a day, school, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to get right into it by saying, first of all, I'm going to be brief. When you have scholars in the room, a good thing to do is to be brief, and because you're going to get into trouble. Two Americans faced off against each other on November 8th. One group won the popular vote, the other the Electoral College. In an upside-down democracy, such as America, only the latter group could end up with the White House. Right? Tomorrow, actually the 19th, we find out whether the members of the Electoral College will stick with President-elect Donald Trump. So that's going to happen tomorrow. Michael Moore's prediction, if you like the guy, highly unlikely, but some 50 or so electors would have to spoil their vote or vote for Clinton for this to happen, for Trump not to end up in the White House. So the first type of Americans, the first group of Americans, we talk about divided nation, right, are the Jeffersonians American, right? We call them the Jeffersonian. And Thomas Jefferson, he's the founding father, the third president of the United States, and so on and so forth. These Americans voted for Trump in large numbers, right? Some people call them basket of deplorables, right? They are mostly white, Christians, they're poorly educated, Trump called them. He did, not me, I didn't call them that. Economically deprived, fiercely anti-Wall Street, fiercely anti-big banks, hostile to economic and cultural elites, anti-globalization. They're also anti-immigrants, and they favor building a wall. They celebrate isolationism. People call them the alt-right. They are nativist, populist, nationalist. Now that's a mouthful, right? Nativist means, for people who kind of like hear the storm all over the place, nativist means they identify themselves as the original citizens of the country, the rightful heirs of the American dream, the chosen ones who will save Western civilization from decay, from the demonic forces that seek to destroy it, such as a tidal wave of illegal immigrants, hippies, and narcissistic, secularists snug in their crony capitalism. That's basically what these people. In the context of Make America Great, they begin to sound like, what do you call it, a racist dog whistle. Now, dog whistle in political terms are people who basically they send you off in a direction. You whistle and the dog starts running, right? Racist dog whistle. It's a political term that we use. So alt-right basically is the flip side of Islamic extremism. So when we talk about, I'm going to summarize this quickly, when we talk about the alt-right, if you look at the narrative from the Islamic extremist circles like ISIS and Al-Qaeda and the Taliban, it's exactly the flip side, right? So you're seeing the clash of two fundamentalisms going on here. Their fundamentalism, and we've got ours, right? So I call it the clash of two fundamentalism. On the other side, we have the Hamiltonian Americans, Hamilton, right? Alexander Hamilton, another founding father, author of the Federalist Papers, embraced diversity. He was born in the Caribbean, by the way, out of wedlock, multicultural, pro-immigrant, pluralist, They believe in a strong central government, financial stability, law and order. Wall Street might be corrupt, but without it, we are back to bartering. We lose our way in the financial world. If Wall Street, big banks, and major corporations run into trouble, they should be bailed out. These folks embrace liberalism, pluralism, and yes, they embrace secularism. Remember the founding fathers. For the founding fathers, they were outwardly speaking God-fearing Christians. So we have to understand what they mean by secularism, but that's not where I want to go with this talk. So what should we do? There's the Jeffersonian Americans, and then there's the Hamiltonian Americans. This is what Trump has done, right? So we got our pick. And I say, if the Hamiltonians don't sound appeasing, they actually are more closer to where we stand as people who have come to these countries, have migrated in larger numbers to the West. Canada, United States, basically the same thing, although their Muslim community is much larger than ours, right? So I don't believe in fence sitting. I think people who sit on the fence get shot first, and I don't want to get shot. Not first, at least, right? So I'm talking about, first, I want to just define civic engagement. We got two options. Civic engagement is the first option. Civic engagement is when citizens, either out of necessity or desperation, invite or allow political parties or elected officials to meddle in their affairs, in our lives, basically. The bulk of our resources in the Muslim community has gone, whether it be CARE, ISNA, ICNA, MAC, MAS, in Canada or United States, NCCM, CCMW, a host of national and local organizations, even friendly masjids presidents, both in Canada and the United States, particularly in the United States post 9/11, has gone into civic engagement. Bring out the vote, join political parties, White House iftars, cozy up with decision makers and elected officials, sign up as volunteers with political campaigns, donate, get involved, right? It's all great stuff. It's all fantastic. What happens, though, when the Jeffersonians trunks the Hamiltonians and you're no longer on the inside? What happens, right? To add insult to injury, you got Stephen Bannon to deal with, retired General Michael Flynn to deal with, and a host of other crazy guys out there who are now in the White House making decisions in the State Department. Right? This is the intersection we're at right now. Now, we're not talking about Imam al-Ghazali and fiqh and this and that, right? This is where your brain has to kick in now and start thinking, wow, what are we going to do now? You can invoke all you want of Imam al-Ghazali and Ibn Taymiyyah, if you're on that side of the fence, and all these other people, and I say, well, what do we do? Well, you can stay at home and make ghusl all day and make wudu. That's, if you want to do that, that's great, right? So you have to begin to recognize now where the narrative is at. So here's where I'm going with this. I'm suggesting that the locus of real power is not in the palace of the Sultan, nor is it in the military barracks. Real power is reflected in our striving to live as human beings. That's power, okay? And the only thing, the only concept that represents this real power is civil engagement, not civic engagement. Civic engagement is like, oh yes, please come, help us out. We need some immigration thing here, blah, 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 blah. And the president holds up the guy in the masjid on Eid day, and we're all waiting for our 2 rak'ah, witr or sunnah or wajib, whatever. No, I meant, sorry, Sheikh. When I said witr, I meant wajib, sorry. Sheikh Ahmed is here, and he's going to scold me if I make a mistake. So, like, they hold you up, you're waiting for your 2 rak'ah, early morning, you're just thinking food in Ramadan, especially after Ramadan. The guy is like going on about the president, the MP, the member of parliament, like he's the next thing since sliced bread. He's like, buddy, get it over with. Come on, we need to pray here, And so they hold you hostage for that. So when there is government creep, when governments begin to meddle, and they will meddle in the affairs of people, they will come in, they'll take over. They'll love that stuff, right? They can come to a masjid and give a talk on Eid day. You have 15,000 people, 5,000 people, 1,000 people. They love that stuff. That's bread and butter for them, right? So what is civil engagement? Civil engagement is basically when we, the people, the citizens, demand our rights. When we say Bill C-51, for example, encroaches on our rights, we need to push back. We need to say, look, to make it simple, we need to say, governments, we can handle this on our own. We're capable of being human beings without your laws and legislature. That's essentially what it's saying. So when I listen to what our Prophet ﷺ is telling us, La darara wa la dirar, do not oppress nor reciprocate oppression. Love your brother as you love yourself. A believer is not he who goes to bed at night, is not he who goes to bed at night while his brother is hungry. What is all of that? That's being civil. Be kind to your neighbors. If you cook food and your neighbor can smell it, give him something to eat. You know what I mean? Like, share. Where's the law on that? That's virtue. That's living a virtuous life. That is civil engagement. So everything that I understand about the life of the Prophet that is not a command, but is how he lived, is all civil engagement. So the goal of civil society, what is the goal of civil society? The goal of civil society is a just society. That's our goal. Just society. How do we achieve a just society? Well, you have to be vigilant, for heaven's sake, right? But what is the engine that keeps civil society going? Convention. Convention, we say. I'm summarizing political philosophy 101 here. It's convention. Okay, now what is convention for us? Convention for us is sunnah. Convention for us is the prophetic tradition. That is convention. So here's what. In Homer's Iliad, this is now familiar territory for some of you. In Homer's Iliad, right, Achilles people of Spartan comes and challenge the people of Troy, right? And the people of Troy say, man, we don't want to really fight, destroy our city. You guys are going to have people getting killed over there. We're going to have people getting killed. So what does Homer say? He says, Hector, the tamer of horses, he says to Achilles, let's fight, you and I, right? Let's avoid this war. This battle is between you and I. Let's have a duel. And so they fight. And Achilles killed Hector, the tamer of horses. And what happens? He takes his body and drags it around the place, right? And the people of Troy were like hurt. Not that he had fought and died, their hero, Hector, but that Achilles dragged his body around the place in the dust. He humiliated him, right? And so finally Zeus intervenes and a ransom is paid, and Achilles says, here, take him. You can bury him now. And Homer says, thus held they funeral for Hector, tamer of horses. That is, convention was broken and it destroyed them. Convention is what holds us together. The sunnah, the prophetic tradition, right? But here's where I'm going to end it. If convention fails, if convention needs tweaking, if convention is contravened, it's invade, right? Invade, you know that term? If it's destroyed, or it's fidgeted with, or it's meddled with, what do we have? We have to have civil disobedience. We have to have civil disobedience. In the Western society, in our democracies, civil disobedience is a virtue. Is a virtue. It's not just a thing that you do. Civil disobedience is a virtue. So we have to have the option of civil disobedience. It means civil. Civil is, if it moves into violence, if it moves into the area of violence, it starts becoming violent, it's not civil anymore. It's something else. We can debate about what it becomes. Revolution, coup, Arab Spring, this and that. Nobody in their right mind ever enters a war that they can't win. That's the first theory of war you learn. Can you win? If you can't win, don't fight. You're going to pick a fight with a bully in the back, in the schoolyard. The guy is going to trash you. You can't fight the guy. War theories. I mean, what did Arabs think when they started a war? Like, what did they think they were going to do? You're going to get slaughtered. And then the whole world is going to cry, right? So what we do in democracies, like the Prophet ﷺ came to Medina. Medina was called Yathrib, from Thariba, right? Which means to assault. He named it Medina, and I translate Medina to be stand down. Stand down, we say. You know what? Take it easy, buddy. You're not going to assault the guy. You see the guy coming at you. Is he going to fight you? No. So the language then of social justice need to be something that we master. And we are pathetic at this language. We don't know this language. We don't understand this language. We watch TV and we start railing and You know, the first thing out of our mouth is Jews are dogs and pigs. I mean, stop. You have to understand, this language is alienating. This language will destroy you, right? And so what I'm saying is post-Trump, for the next 4 to 8 years, let's hope it's 4, okay, that we need to understand and express the language of social protest, of dissent, of civil disobedience. That is the language that we need to understand. And I don't know how else to stress that maybe that's something I need to work out, and I understand it's politeness. Politeness in public discourse. Trump has thrown all of that out the door. Called a woman a dog, he called her a nasty woman, he called her this, and then now he's saying, this all, just talk. He threw the civility in language. Justice cannot be achieved in this society unless, A, we have a very powerful social protest language or an agenda, first of all, that comes with a language of representing our issues, right? It can't be racist. It can't be bigoted. It can't be sexist. It can't be, you know, hating a group of people. It has to come from within our tradition, right? And if you don't know the language, then shut up. Don't speak. Just be quiet, right? So that's my 2-bit contribution. And I'm tired, right? I finished. 15 minutes. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Jazakallah khair, Ustadh Nazim. You know, the whole time you were speaking, I was thinking of something intelligent to say to follow up what you had said. And then you closed with, if you don't know the language, then shut up.
Oh.
So I'm gonna shut up because there's not much else that I can add to that. Jazakallah khair. Barakallah feekum.